The following program is rated G and is suitable for viewing by all ages.
Hi, and welcome back, friends. So I'm Wendy. I've got Renee back there behind the camera, and with me here in my kitchen is Norm Strauss. Norm has been a friend of our family for about 30 years, right? And just like 2 seconds ago, I was learning things about him that I didn't know. So I'm going to ask him a ton of questions just as my curiosity leads me. But right from the beginning, I want you to know that Norm is a singer-songwriter. He's a very prolific musician. And what genre would you say you are writing in right now?
I would say roots Americana would be a good way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. And you've prepared 3 songs.
Yep.
That you're going to do. First one being Immigrant. Have I got the name right?
Immigrant, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you say the genesis of that song, what it's about, what inspired you to write it?
Well, it's kind of, I'm going to grab my guitar while I'm talking, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
It started, the idea for the song started about 8 years ago at a family gathering we were having at my parents' place. Mm-hmm. My father passed away 5 years ago, so this would have been about 6, 7 years ago. And I wanted to, our kids were there, and our kids were younger then, and I wanted to get my dad to retell a story of how he came to Canada, how the Strauss family came to Canada, because I wanted my kids to hear it. And so I sat him down, and he, of course, he started off with, well, I don't know how much I can remember, and then for the next hour, spoke nonstop, you know, and I thought, this is a fascinating story. And I'd heard it before, but only in kind of bits and pieces. And he'd never kind of strung it in a linear fashion alone to make a story. Mm-hmm. And he was 17 at the time. And he came with my grandfather, Gustav Strauss, who I never met because he died before I was born. Mm. But Gustav Strauss was the man responsible for bringing the Strauss family to Canada. And it was in 1956. And so my dad's relating this story and talking about, you know, the trip over. He got very sick, and there was a storm, and it was supposed to only take 8 days. It took 14 days to get here. It was the middle of winter. They didn't know any English. Landed in Montreal, you know, with a boat, and you know, then had to take a train across the prairies, middle of winter, and everything was strange to them. And I thought this. And then he said one line that just really caught my ear. Because I said, you know, instead of just telling me the details, how did it make you feel? And he said, well, I remember, you know, my uncle met us in Saskatchewan, and we finally made it to Saskatchewan, and my uncle and my father were talking, and my uncle turned to my dad, and I overheard the conversation, and he turned to my dad, and he said, look at how big look how big this country is. Mm. And he said, in fact, it's so big you can finally be yourself. And that line just hit me. Because they'd lived through Nazi Germany. Yeah. And I thought, and that's the idea started forming, I got to write this song. I got to write a song about this. So then I quizzed him a little bit more and some more details, and ended up writing this song called Immigrant, which is kind of the retelling of the story of the Strauss family as they came from Germany. So. It was a bright October morning back in 1952 as we gathered on the docks of Bremen Harbor, and we held our breaths and hoped that all the stories told were true. A frontier land with promises of more. Are there any dreamers still alive after the war? After 14 days of sailing on the rough Atlantic Sea, we slipped like ghosts into the port of Montreal. With all that I possess, and my wife and our 4 children, and I don't know if I've ever been that cold. Starting over at 46 years old. Follow your hearts, even to unfamiliar places. Follow your hearts, writing your story on these pages. My brother said that he would meet me, so we boarded the train, past frozen lakes and endless prairie skies. He said this land is so big, you can finally be yourself. Let these open fields free your captive soul. Or let those wild mountains swallow you whole. Follow your hearts, even to unfamiliar places. Follow your hearts, writing your story on these pages. The land that I called Father still comes to me in my dreams. Somehow I wonder, where would I be? So follow your hearts, even to unfamiliar places. Follow your hearts, writing your story on these pages. Write your story on these pages.
Wow. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where did he end up landing then?
Well, I think they landed, and I'm not sure of all the details, I forget, but they ended up in Medicine Hat somehow.
Okay.
He was there for a while.
Okay.
My dad was 17, but he had a girlfriend in Germany,
Oh,
and they were from a small town in Germany called Gronau. And so my dad's plan was to get settled here in Canada, which he did, and he had skills. He was trained as a woodworker, a cabinet maker, and a carpenter. And those skills were very much in demand. They still are today, actually. And after he got himself established, 17, 18 years old, he called for his girlfriend to come over from Germany.
oh.
And they got married, and
Your mom?
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So that's how it all happened. And then they ended up moving to Prince Rupert, BC, because the church in Prince Rupert, their whole journey was sponsored by the German Baptist Convention.
Oh,
And the word had gotten out that my dad was also a skilled choir director at that time.
Oh my
And
goodness.
my grandfather was as well, a well-known choir director in northern Germany.
Oh wow, so your legacy.
So I guess so, yeah. And so my father had some of those skills too. And so there was a German Baptist church in Prince Rupert that needed a choir director.
All right.
And so anyways, long story short, I was born in Prince Rupert,
Okay.
as were all my siblings. So
Huh. And did your family then move into the mountains to swallow them?
no, we stayed in Prince Rupert until I was 8, and then we moved down to Chilliwack, and then we moved to
Okay.
Williams Lake. And
Williams Lake.
Yeah.
Wow. Still choir directing or building?
no, he was for a while building when we were in Prince Rupert, and then he eventually got a job offer in that's a long story, but we ended up in Williams Lake, and he worked for Imperial Oil.
Oh, that
as a
is
bulk
really
sales
different.
agent. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And
Huh.
then ended up, when I was going into grade 10, we ended up in Vanderhoof, British Columbia.
Okay.
And that's where my mom still lives, along with my sister and her husband. Yeah.
Hello, mom, sister, and
Yeah.
husband. Presumably they'll be watching.
I probably will, yeah.
So, what's your mom's name?
Martha.
Martha. If you were saying it not English, would the T be
Marta.
hard? Yeah, Marta.
Martha, very common name in Germany, yeah.
Okay, I had a question and it just flew my mind. Yes, your dad did a whole bunch of stuff. Have you done other things other than music through your journey? I know you're foraying now into novel writing, but have you been building? Have you been doing things that your dad did?
I worked for him through high school. He had a
Okay.
bulk sales plant where they sell, drums of oil and deliver to ranches and all that
wow.
stuff. So I worked for my dad through the summers of high school. That's how I bought my first drum set and my first guitar.
Yeah.
And then after high school, I ended up being a lumberjack for a number of years.
Wow.
And it was actually in the winter camps in lumberjack when I was at Logger. That's where I learned to play guitar, when I first picked up a guitar.
And was it to just keep yourself entertained or keep
I
yourself out
had
of
a
trouble?
desire, even back then, to write songs. I wanted to write songs.
Okay.
And I had been playing drums for a long time. At that time, been playing in various bands and stuff. But I wanted to learn to play guitar. So when you're working in a logging camp, the evenings are kind of boring. So I ended up buying a Yamaha guitar. I had my little cassette tape.
Oh yeah.
And I started learning James Taylor songs, Simon and Garfunkel,
Okay.
just by ear, trying to figure out what they're doing,
Right.
Peter, Paul, and Mary. And just started learning my first early kind of folk style, finger style playing from in that way. And then long after that, I started writing songs.
Can you remember any of the first songs you
Oh,
wrote?
yeah.
Did you have any particularly egregious ones? that you
Well,
could
the
share?
first song I wrote, I probably still could play it, a little bit of it, but it's called A Simple Song.
Oh,
And
Thank
the
goodness.
words go, this is my song and I'm singing it for all of you. I'll sing it as sweetly as I can. The words are simple because I'm only a simple man and I'd like to sing my song for you. And then it goes on for 4 verses in a kind of folk music style to talk about everything I had an opinion on in the world, and at 19 years old,
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's a song about pretty much everything. Everyone needs a helping hand now and then. We're not so different. We all need a friend. That's how the lyrics go. So
that's actually kind of sweet.
that was my first song. I have not played it since 1982. But yeah. Anyways, so then I started performing from time to time, and then I had enough songs to record an album. So I went to my friend's place,
Okay.
Malcolm Petch,
Oh my goodness.
who had developed this insane technology of bouncing tracks from one cassette to another to multi-track.
Oh.
He tells me he invented that. He probably didn't, but I believed him at the time. And so we were bouncing tracks back and forth, and I recorded my first album called Lonely Day.
Is any of that available?
No, absolutely
Absolutely,
not.
because I've got some of your old catalog and I've never
No,
heard
I've
that.
actually recorded 18 albums, full-length albums in my life.
Oh, okay.
That was the first one. And so then I hand drew the cover and photocopied it. Got a Costco tape dubber, cassette tape
Wow.
dubber, and started dubbing tapes,
Yeah.
the blank white tapes you could buy.
Oh yes.
And I started selling those things for $5.
All right.
And I made enough money that one summer to pay my rent. And I was driving taxi at the time.
Oh, okay,
So this
taxi
was
driver. We'll
good,
add that.
Yeah, taxi driver for 3 years. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that so the entire production costs of that my first album was about $180. That included paying $100 to Malcolm Petch. So it paid for itself within a week, and I was off and running profit. I never looked back since. I'm going to be a singer-songwriter.
Well, yeah, that's where the big money is.
That's big money, man. I think I made like $2,000 that summer or something, and started doing coffee houses and stuff. And
okay, and that's 1980.
That would have been around 81, 82.
81. Okay, okay. So by the time I met you, maybe 93, 92, 93, you were playing to really large audiences. How did you transition from somebody playing simple songs and recording on two tape recorders to that? Like, what's the trajectory?
It just kind of grew, and I started developing a little bit more stagecraft and telling stories and stuff. And then formed a band here in Kelowna.
Okay.
And we recorded several albums, and we did some limited touring and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. And so then I learned about how to arrange music for a band, a rock band, and so now then I got married and I started raising kids. We still had the band, and then in 1991-ish, a friend and I started an alternative church service of all things called God Rock.
Oh yes.
Here in Kelowna, and that grew to be quite a thing.
It was a huge thing.
Yeah, and
it's kind of an ear bleeder, though. It was really loud.
Yeah. So basically, our thoughts were simple. You know, God is in here, and then we got music, rock music. We like both of those things. Let's combine them. And for some reason, that really took off. And we recorded a couple of albums out of the original music we wrote for that, because the services were 3 hours long.
Right, yeah.
Mostly music. And so...
Didn't Dave Watland do covers for you? So Pam was here a couple of weeks ago making soup, and that's her husband, just to loop you in on this. Dave
designed our second album, because we recorded 2 albums. Both of them were bestsellers in Canada here.
Yeah.
And he designed and did the second, which did a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The album is called Joel's Place.
It's beautiful. Yeah. He got the neon glow just right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we started writing songs. We recorded our first God Rock album. Some of those songs became quite well known in that genre, recorded internationally, and then just kind of snowballed from there.
How many languages have your songs been recorded in?
Oh, I don't know. I've lost track. I don't control the publishing of some of those songs, but I know there's probably at least 10 or 15 songs in various languages. And one of the songs has been, last I counted, re-recorded by 35 other artists, according to the royalty reports and stuff.
Have you ever walked in and not known that one of your songs was going to be performed and been surprised by somebody doing one of your songs?
Yeah.
How did that feel?
I've also been walking in a different country somewhere. I don't remember the country, some distant country, walking down a back alley. Okay. And heard my music from the first album coming out from somewhere 3 floors up. That was a strange experience.
The one you have hidden in a deep hole somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Of all the ones for them to have.
Yeah. So I've walked in. I've also been invited to come witness, a choir or something singing one of my songs.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
You're like Rick Astley.
Rick Astley.
With the choir singing his song.
I had the honor of playing with the Abbotsford Youth Symphony.
Neat.
For that song, Immigrants.
Oh, wow.
They contacted me for Canada Day a few years ago. So, I don't know, 10,000 people in the audience.
Yeah.
And they had arranged, this is kind of a funny story, but they had arranged all the music for this song. Beautiful job. So I get on stage. There was no time to rehearse. Just get on stage, and he said, play the song the way that you recorded it, because that's how we learned it. Wow. And I started to panic at that point because I had been playing the song so many times in so many different ways. I'd really forgotten how it was originally recorded. So anyways, we get on stage, and I'm trying to really focus here. How does the song go, And I don't read music either. They gave me a chart to follow, and I'm like, this is like I don't know how to read this, you know. And so then I start playing, and halfway through just as the first chorus was ending, the music just started swelling up behind me. This orchestra, I don't know how many pieces in the orchestra, probably 30 pieces. And it was so emotional for me that I completely lost my way in the song in front of thousands of people. Now, this is on YouTube. You can actually search for this. And so you can see that I'm fumbling for the words, and I'm realizing that I can't start the verse over again. I have to kind of fumble through it until I catch it again. Otherwise, all these people behind me are going to be lost. So that was interesting.
I feel like panicky on your behalf.
Oh yeah, you should.
Dang.
Man,
Was Laura Lee Laura Lee's
yeah,
his
my
wife?
whole family, yeah, my whole extended family was in
man.
the audience, yeah.
She would have known that you were lost in the weeds.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Would anybody else? Did you think you covered it?
You watched the video, you saw, just search Norm Strauss, Abbotsford Symphony.
Okay, we got to start a poll. Who knows at what minute mark
Yeah.
Norm is lost in the
I
weeds?
think you can see it. I'm
Yeah.
stumbling for the words, and I'm closing my eyes, trying to hold back like the emotion, because the music was really incredible.
Oh yeah, and it's a story that's you
Yeah.
know from you. It lives in you.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, your songwriting has always sort of reflected kind of where Rob and I are in our life, and we've often used your songs sort of as emotional processing tools.
Wow.
Yeah, sort of different things like it's not safe here anymore. Like I remember just sitting and kind of crying, thinking, wow, it's nice to have a reflection of what's going on the inside. And I find your lyric writing so evocative. Like you're telling stories part of the time, and part of the time you're just sort of speaking to emotional conditions.
Right.
And putting some words to it. And then, of course, putting that to music adds another emotional layer. And because you're a truthful songwriter, like I find that, like, I don't know if there's any songs that you've put out really that aren't stories that are living in you at the time.
Oh, I probably could find a
You
few.
could?
Early
Yeah.
back when I was just starting out. Yeah, I was just trying to fill up the album.
Yeah, and find what people wanted.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's, but even, just speaking for our family, like your songwriting has been formative. Like I think all of our kids, Renee back there, yeah, she grew up, you were soundtrack.
Yeah, she
in her
turned out
house.
okay. Look at her.
Yeah, she's fairly normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotionally balanced.
Yeah. And even if, there's somebody else doing your song, there's sort of a tell at the end of one of your lyric lines. There's a little, like a skip to your lyric. Almost like you're coming downstairs really quickly, like you're walking down some stairs, and then the last few stairs you run. Or you're going up and pop, pop, pop. There's kind of a little skip in the lyric. I'm like, I was listening to somebody singing some song. It was recorded. I'm like, look up who wrote that. I'll bet it's Norm. And it was.
Oh,
it
really?
was written by you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was somebody else's performing it, but they were using your same flow of where you're,
That's interesting.
the little trip at the end of the line. Like, oh yeah, there it is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like, it doesn't sound like the singer's forgetting the words or anything.
Not at all.
'Cause I
Not
do
at all.
that.
Do you?
Yeah,
So
of course.
maybe that's what he's actually doing. And I thought it was stylistic. He just doesn't know what he's doing. We should transition to this. So your family coming from Germany, you went to Germany and you've lived there off and on, right?
Yes.
Like not all in one big
Not-
go.
The largest chunk of time we lived there was 2 years.
Okay.
But then after that, it was on 6-month chunks, 8-month chunks, 3-month chunks, which was all to do with touring.
Okay. So you're touring through Germany, through most of
Yeah.
Europe, or where?
Germany, Switzerland, Austria sometimes. I've even been down to Italy.
Oh, okay. Are you performing in English or in German?
English.
How do they bill you?
How do they bill me?
Yeah, what do they call you?
They call me Norm Strauss.
What else do they
I do
call
speak
you?
German, so the concerts ended up being, the songs were all in English, but the actual, because I tell a lot of stories in my
Yeah.
concerts, and sometimes they're half German, half English, more English probably. So I did announce once before one concert, and I was feeling really brave that night, and I said to the audience in German, Heute Abend gibt's alles auf Deutsch. Tonight everything's in German. And they all knew me. I'm Canadian, you know. So, and I lasted about a paragraph, and I couldn't do anything. It was just way too hard.
Dang.
You know? So I tell too many stories, and a lot of it's spontaneous. A lot of it's just right off the cuff.
Right.
So in German, I can't do that.
Yeah, you have to plan ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to plan ahead. Yeah.
Make sure you know where you're landing.
Yeah. But in Germany, most people speak and understand German. I mean, sorry,
English.
Yeah, most of them do German, but yeah. Now more and more, English is very well known. They call it Weltsprache, world language.
Oh, okay.
They think of English as the world speech. Yeah.
All right. I was looking for German bread because you said that you can talk for hours about German bread and your love for it.
Yes.
So you developed that when you were in Germany on
Yeah.
some of these forays?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you came back here, and Kelowna is just lousy with German bakeries
Yeah.
that all do authentic German bread. That is not true. So tell me of your
It's not
search.
quite authentic. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, one of the first things when we first moved to Germany that I started to understand almost immediately was the bread tastes so incredible in Germany. And never thought much of it, and except that I like it a lot, and got quite familiar with the different rye breads and stuff, especially. And one of my favorites was a bread called Weltmeister Mehrkornbrot, which means world champion multigrain bread. And it's in almost every supermarket. And it's the type of bread where it's about, loaf is about this big. The crust is full of seeds, of course.
Beautiful.
And you put it down on the counter, it just goes like that. And then you take your knife and you get a good stance and you start cutting it. And it's like bark coming off a tree with a chainsaw, you know. It's flying everywhere, you know.
That's amazing.
But the taste is amazing.
Okay.
But you have to eat it within a day or two of buying it.
Oh, it dies.
So, yeah. So some of the differences in German bread and North American bread, the first thing is, well, first I'll tell you the story of how I found all this stuff out.
Yes.
I came back from Germany after one tour, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. I got to have me some German bread. So I actually spent a whole Saturday going to every single bakery in Kelowna area.
Are you normally this obsessive?
No, well, about bread, I guess I would be, yeah. And so I went to every single bakery in Kelowna and asked the same question: do you have authentic German multigrain bread here, particularly rye bread or sourdough?
Right.
And they all were honest and said, no, we don't.
Oh, that's good.
And I
They didn't sell
so
you
every
on
and I
some
walk
squishy
out
thing.
there like this, you know.
Oh.
So finally, I thought, well, the last on my list was the Lickmans, which is a real German
Yeah.
delicatessen bakery here. Great place. So I go there and I asked the young lady at the counter, do you have and she was German, the lady at the counter, do you have Weltmeister Mehrkornbrot? I don't think so. I'll get the owner. So she brings the owner out. Nice lady, German lady.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm sorry, I can't give you the bread that you're looking for. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I've been searching all day. And she said, has nobody told you that the flour in Germany is much different than it is in North America? And I said, no, nobody told me that. And she said, it's far less gluten for one thing. The process is differently for refinement. There's no GMOs allowed in anything in Germany. And she said, we also cook the bread at lower temperatures and for longer periods of time in Germany so that the crust is thicker.
That's why the...
Yeah. And German bread is far more dense. So one or two slices will fill you up. And so that was the end of my quest for German bread. She told me that because I said, can you just bring in the flour for me? Can you do it? And she said it'd be far too expensive. And she said, I don't think anybody would buy it even if I did it. Which I then said, I don't think that's true, but yeah, so that's the story. So I have found a couple places in town. A local supermarket here in Rutland has artesian, they call it artesian sunflower something bread.
Something.
And it's pretty
What's
good.
that?
It's not bad.
Okay.
And that's
Is
but
it
I can't
closest?
eat normal bread. Yeah, it's the closest that I found to real German bread. Yeah.
So German bread has ruined you for other bread.
Yeah, I can't eat normal breads. It just doesn't taste good to me at all. It's too pasty, it's too sweet, it's got too much sugar in it.
Yeah.
And not very healthy.
There you go.
Now, if you go to some of these, like Lichtman's or other bakeries in town, they do have some good breads. You pay more for it. But it's still not quite kind of reaching that standard that you see in Germany.
And it's not using the correct flour.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And the process is different. And also, the whole culture of in Germany is far more wrapped up in bread than we are here.
Is there a meal or a snack called Brotzeit?
Yep.
There really is.
Brotzeit,
So bread time, isn't that?
Bread time. And actually the German word for supper, I grew up in a German home, and I knew the word for supper is Abendbrot.
Ah, evening bread.
Evening bread.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Is there
So-
Morgenbrot is breakfast, or?
Breakfast is Frühstück means early, Frühstück means a piece, I think, or something like that. So a little piece in the morning.
Probably
in the early
bread.
morning. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now in Germany, the meal culture is different. They have their main meal in the middle of the day.
Okay, it's a hot meal.
They
at
call it their
that
warm
time.
meal.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, when we were living there and we moved there in 1998, and our kids went to school there, they came home at 1 o'clock every day.
Oh, yeah.
They went earlier in the morning, but they came home and at 1 o'clock, warm meal is served.
Nice.
And the breakfasts there in Germany, because in Germany, there's a bakery on every street corner. So before breakfast every day, usually the wife, if not the wife, then the husband gets on the bike and goes to get fresh bread, fresh Brötchen. So when you sit down for breakfast, it's completely fresh bread. Every morning, they do this every morning. That's why there's a bakery everywhere.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it is good.
Yeah.
And the breakfasts are, you get your Brötchen, your breads, you get your cold cuts, and you get usually a boiled egg. There's muesli sometimes. There's rashers of bacon. That's kind of pretzels maybe. That's a kind of a German breakfast.
Nice.
I'm probably leaving something out, but cheeses, different cheeses.
Right.
So then they have that for breakfast. Then the Mittagessen, the lunch is usually
That's the same as the Mennonite
right.
Mittagessen.
Mittagessen, eating at midday.
Yeah.
So then you'll have your schnitzels, your sausages, your currywurst, something like that.
Okay.
Sauerkrauts. But the evening meal, the Abendbrot, is basically a repeat of the breakfast.
Oh, okay.
So you can see that the Germans eat a lot of bread.
Yeah, it's all bread centric. So what I did so that we can move into a food segment.
Right.
So what I did go to Lichtman's, and she sold me some wonderful things. So this is just a dense rye bread, and she said they have 3 different types of categories of bread. There's the kinds that are like Canadian or North American bread. They do sell some of that they bake in-house. And then they have this kind of thing, which I was familiar with before from like in supermarkets. And it's like really sealed in, and then you kind of peel apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then these ones are, I think, maybe the closest that we can get to authenticity, because they bring in flash frozen German dough from Germany, and so that should be the correct wheat. And I don't know what happens in the bringing over process, but in the morning they thaw it out and then they bake it so it's fresh that day.
Oh, I can't wait to try some.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. And you said it is not toasted. We don't toast, do we?
No, not really, not as a practice, no.
Okay, so we're not going to toast. I did pick up a little bit of some kind of cheese. She said there was German butter cheese, and then there was another one that was almost equally served, about 50% this, 50% that. And so I just got her to pick her favorite, because I don't know what I'm doing. And that the butter is unsalted.
In Germany, it's normal unsalted butter.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I got. And then to go with it, she suggested the butter and some honey. So I've got some local organic honey.
Oh, nice.
Do you know Danny Young?
No.
Oh, well, you should, you will. Amazing keys. And he's...
Well, maybe I met him at Rob's birthday party.
Yes, you did. Oh, well, he's also keeping bees
Oh.
And this honey is
Oh.
amazing. Anyway,
Well, this is
and
going to be good.
I got cheese, and then this is terrifying. She said that if you're from a German family, you're going to know this, and it is a raw pork, like raw spiced pork sausage.
That is terrifying.
I know, and we're going to try and eat it.
Okay.
Yeah, but not yet. We'll save this for the pièce de résistance.
Not in the habit of eating raw pork.
You might
Did
just
she have
love
a
it.
name for it?
Oh, there's a name. Sure. Under here. Metwurst.
Metwurst. That does not sound familiar to me, but...
Hey, help us, Lickman woman. Anyway, so that is the food that we have. Do you want to play another song first before
Sure.
you put things in your mouth?
Sure.
What is another one that you have? Not that I want to leave the. I want to leave the new one about the character in your novel
Okay.
for the last.
All right.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Okay. So you have A Quiet Street. Is that
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yes. Yes. And
Sing for your supper, Norm.
yeah, sing for this. It's dense.
It looks heavy. That's good.
Yeah. This should kick your butt. Okay. So what's the origin of this song?
Some years ago, we lived on the west side and West Kelowna Estates. So we had a nice house, and it had a nice deck, and it overlooked the lake and the city you could see, and nice view.
Yeah.
We like to go out there in the
Little
evening.
fire
and,
pit?
yeah.
Yeah.
And have a glass of wine and just enjoy ourselves in summertime. And the only problem is just right down below the house is Bear Creek Road. For those of you who are familiar with Kelowna, Bear Creek Road is quite a busy road. And at that time, there was construction going on just up. So dump trucks going up and down all the time, very busy and noisy. And I was sitting there one night, we were having a glass of wine, and I said to my wife, you know, one day I really would just like to live on a quiet street, you know, where it's peaceful, when there's not all this noise. And then the next thought, of course, occurred to me was, that could be a song.
Of course.
Oh, I gotta tune up. So, yeah, so I also, when I introduce this song, I always say, it's a song about getting old and cranky. I want to live on a quiet street, walk on my front lawn in my bare feet, turn the volume down. You don't need to make much sound to make me smile. I want to live where the cars go slow, take half an hour just to drive down my road, take me half a day to drink my coffee and read the news. You say that silence is golden. I bet I could find a lot of treasure on a silent boulevard. And I'm getting older. The picture would be complete if I could live on a quiet street. I want to live on a quiet street, park my convertible. I wish I had a convertible.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that.
But it fits in the song nicely, so it's a little prophetic maybe. I want to live on a quiet street, park my convertible, sit on my back seat under a big blue sky, watch the folks walk by and just smile and wave. I want to live where the only sound is the evening breeze as the leaves fall down. Just another day I can hide away and breathe. They say that silence is golden. I bet I could find a lot of treasure on a silent boulevard. And I'm getting older. The picture would be complete if I could live on a quiet street. Some people love it when the decibels climb. I higher. All that noise is just driving me insane. I need a quiet lane. Oh, do, 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 do. My wife likes to drink red wine out on the patio in the summertime. It's such a simple thing. She can't hear her telephone ring when she closes her eyes. You see that silence is golden. I bet I could find a lot of treasure on a silent boulevard. And I'm getting older. Picture would be complete if I could live on a quiet street. Don't live on a quiet street. I want to live on a quiet lane. Nobody there even knows my name. I end the song differently every time. I always surprise myself. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That's so fun. Yeah, the word boulevard has the trip down.
Silent Boulevard.
Na, na, da, la.
Ah,
Yeah, it's
okay.
almost like an aside, like you're saying a story to somebody and then you're like, la, da, da, da.
I never thought of it that way.
I gotta tell
That's
you
good.
a thing. Yeah, you're like, sneaky little message just stuck in there. All right, let's bread it.
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
which one do you want to start with? Are you curious about
These
one?
really look interesting. Let's try the darker bread
Okay.
first. And my mom used to make this bread. I recognize it.
Okay.
And it's got that white kind of.
Yeah,
what is
kind
that?
of a flour.
Is that from flour, do you think?
Probably, I would think so. When I make bread, that's what it is.
You
'Cause-
make bread too?
Oh, so much. Yeah, I love making bread. I reached out to friend Fridjof, and he's a sourdough monster.
Oh.
He just makes so much, and challenged him with this challenge time to try and find the recipe for your unicorn bread. And maybe he can even get some of the proper flour imported.
Oh, that'd be nice.
He's
If
a
you
clever
Google
man.
that,
He's a clever-
Weltmeister Meerkornbrot,
I have Googled it.
you come up with all kinds of images of it. It's a
Yes.
very well-known type of bread.
There's some that are in bags, and it
Yeah.
has the Weltmeister.
Like you would buy them at a Walmart or something.
Yeah. So it's really common, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Well.
look how dense this is, eh?
Yeah. Okay. So let's point it.
Did you get a plate?
I'll take the wet one.
Yeah.
Hang on.
It's very dense.
This is an actual kitchen. I have actual things.
Oh yeah, that's really a familiar smell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, my mom used to make this a lot. So take some unsalted butter. And I'm not sure why in Germany it is this way, but I grew up this way, unsalted butter. To this day, I cannot really eat. I mean, when you think about it, why do you put salt in your butter? I mean, when you pair it with honey, would you like put salt on your honey? That doesn't make sense.
Right. What about like salted caramel? Do you scrape
Salted
the salt
caramel
out?
I approve of.
Yeah. Okay. He approves of salted
But,
caramel.
so I don't know why. Maybe lately, in recent years, maybe they do have salted butter in Germany, but it's not normal, I don't think. Did you put honey on there?
No, I'm just eating it.
Oh,
I will. Okay. I will comply.
this is pretty thick honey.
This is.
So I'm going to do this, and we're going to.
You're gonna
We'll have
wait.
to come back for station identification by the time this.
Yeah, this is gonna be. It is not the drippy kind.
Looks good.
I could heat it.
Oh, we'll manage. It's almost like caramel.
It is, and it's so creamy. Oh, it's very good. Anyway,
Oh yeah, this is the good stuff.
this is the good stuff. Ooh. I had a friend whose German dad would lose his mind if you put two things on bread at once. Like if you had peanut butter and jelly, it would be
Oh.
a catastrophe.
Yeah,
is that
okay.
a thing, or is that just him?
I don't know. Peanut butter and jelly, I'm not sure if I remember ever seeing that in Germany. But
Or what about mustard and cold cuts at the same time?
sure.
No, who would eat bread with just mustard?
No, not
No,
me.
no.
You have to put some currywurst on there or something.
Yeah, you'd be an
Well, that's good.
animal. Yeah,
That's
we're,
pretty good.
We're down. Okay. This is a thing. Okay, so I've got a pile of questions. I have so many questions for you. We won't be able to fit them all in.
Okay. Well, I'm no expert, but
Well, not about bread. About The Voice, the television show. Because you were on The Voice Germany.
yep.
How did you think that you wanted to do that?
Well, I didn't think that I wanted to do that. That's the thing.
Okay.
I had never heard of The Voice before. I'd never watched it. I may have heard of it, but I definitely had never watched it before. And then I got an email from Universal Music and Talpa Productions.
Okay.
We came across your music online. It was in English too, as I recall. And we would be very excited to invite you on the show The Voice, being filmed in Berlin.
Okay, hang on. Is that rare that they reach out to
Totally.
an artist? Yeah. I would think there'd be people like just sending in audition tapes constantly and...
You have to go to a specific city in Germany to audition.
Oh, is it like American Idol, that kind of thing, where they stand outside for 3 days and
Yes.
get in and they're all
Yeah.
bedraggled and miserable? Right. Oh.
And sometimes, from what I understand, you have to go to 2 different auditions.
Shoot.
And one might be in Cologne and one might be in Berlin.
So you skipped that process?
I, at the time, knew nothing about that process.
Oh.
So I get this email. We would love to invite you to be on our show. Would you consider it? And if so, if you want to talk more, can we have your phone? And we were living in Dresden at the time. And Dresden is about an hour and a half, 2 hours southeast of Berlin. I'm going to talk with my mouth full. I would never sing with my mouth full, but I'll talk with my
Yeah,
mouth.
we're among friends.
So, anyways, I ended up on the phone because I just didn't know. I didn't want to be on anything like American Idol or anything. It just wasn't my thing. So, I ended up on the phone with this very nice lady from Universal Music, or from The Voice. Anyways, I'm not sure she was with Universal, calling me from Berlin. And so we had this discussion, and I was trying to find a way, an excuse for me not to be on The Voice, like, because I had talked to a friend of mine in the meantime,
Oh, okay.
and this friend of mine, also a singer-songwriter, had said that the Voice was a good show. It wasn't like other kind of talent shows that actually had some integrity to it.
Right.
And I don't know. And so, anyway, ended up on the phone with this lady. And she said, we would love to, we've come across your music. We'd love to have you on the show. You would be just a really good fit. And I was like, so I remember saying to her, look, I don't think you understand how old I am. I'm not young. And I said, I don't have a cool haircut. I actually said this. My haircut's not cool. And I said, I don't speak German that well. I can speak German, but not, it's not perfect. And I said, and I ended it with saying, if I'm not in bed by 10, I get very cranky. And there was a silence on the phone. And I thought, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you made
I don't
yourself
have
as
to worry about this
unappealing
anymore.
as possible.
Yeah. And then I heard her say, oh, you are perfect.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, we're looking for somebody to give a little bit of, an opposite to the young pop stars we keep getting on the show.
Okay.
So we sought you out because you're inexperienced and you're already touring, and you'll offer something to the show that these other young people can't.
Wow.
And so I said, I don't know, and I'd have to do more investigation. So she then said, well, if you can make it to Berlin in 9 days, we're having kind of the last kind of audition, squeezing in the last auditions. If you could come and meet our production team and sing a song or two for us, then we'll talk more. And I said, well, okay. And I looked at my calendar, and I had 9 concerts between that phone call and that meeting in Berlin. And the last concert was in Berlin. So the timing and the location was perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now those 9 concerts, I talked about the voice because I
Okay.
wanted to know what is this thing, you know? And so I would talk to the audience and I would say, I've been invited to be on The Voice, and everybody would cheer. You
So
know?
it's a good thing.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
It, you know. And I said, oh, and then I said, so just for fun, I said, I've seen parts of the show. Let's pretend we're on The Voice, and I'll sing a cover song. You guys, if you like it, you put your hands up. And I remember one night I got them all to turn their chairs around, and then they would turn, you know, if they wanted me to be on their team, you know, and it was kind of a fun thing to do.
That's fun.
So then I get to Berlin and I sing a couple songs for them, and they said, great, we'd really like to have you on the show. And in the meantime, I had thought, well, you know, my motive for being on the show is, if I was going to be on the show, wouldn't be to win the show. I don't want to do that, because that means a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
But millions of people, it's a 4 to 5 million people view that show. It's a
Okay.
great promo if you can, for your music
Right.
career, if you can get a good showing on there.
Yes, but winning wouldn't be a goal.
No, not at all. And for those of you who like watching The Voice, you might not realize that, but people go on that show not to win.
Uh-huh.
They go on that show just simply for promotion,
Okay.
which it is a good promotion.
Oh, absolutely.
If things fall into line the right way. Anyway, so then they hand me this contract, and I'm looking through the contract, and right on the first page, keep in mind that I've done 9 concerts where I've told people I've been invited on The Voice. First page says you're not allowed to tell anybody that you're going on The Voice.
Whoops.
And so I was like, no, I wouldn't tell anybody. Who would I tell? So then, anyways, make a long story short, ended up on the show, and it was a great experience. You know, I could tell a lot of stories, funny things that happened to me on the show. Yeah, for example, you know, the blind auditions. For those of you who are familiar with the show, the day before the blind auditions, they get you all on the stage, and they say to you, "Here's the X on the floor where you stand." And here's the microphone, stand in front of you. And what we want you to do is to practice. If the coach goes for you, you are to take the mic, which most of them had in their hands. I happen to have a guitar in my hand, but take the mic and set it aside to greet your coach.
Oh, okay.
So they made us practice this about 10 times. Move the mic stand and greet your coach.
Right, so that under stress, your muscle memory
Yeah.
will take over and you'll do the thing
So,
right.
and I'm like, I am a professional. I've been doing this for you. I know how to do this. So I go in the blind audition, and the lady that chooses me, a very famous rock star in Germany, and a nice lady, and she chooses me. So I totally forgot my intense training from the day before. So I have now a guitar on, and the mic stand is in my way.
Oh,
And this is on live TV in front of 4 million people. And she comes up to greet me. Welcome to the team, you know. And I step down to greet her, and I step on her foot.
good start.
So she winces, you know, and there I am. And I noticed that they edited all this out later.
Oh, that's too bad, because
But,
I'd love to see that.
As she's hugging me, and she's like, get off my foot. So that was my introduction to The Voice. And I was always, because it's all in German, you know, and all the instructions they give you in German, I was always ending up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and faux pas left and right. But it ended up being a really good experience, and it was a really great promotion, as it turned out.
Okay. And you ended up touring with one of the other
Yes.
finalists? You got pretty far, too, didn't you? Didn't it look like dangerous?
I got, really, it turned out so great for me. I went as far as I wanted to. Like at that
Okay.
point, I wanted to get off the show.
Did you do something to get yourself not on the show? Like, did you suck in a performance or something?
No, I didn't want to go that far, because I wanted the coaches to give me a good review,
Okay,
which they
yeah.
really did, all
Yeah.
4 of them.
Yeah, I heard the things that they said about you.
And so, no, but I already knew that I wouldn't go further than that,
Okay.
because in the vocal coaching sessions, they would almost virtually pay me no attention at all. Gave me almost no input, a little bit, but not much.
You said once that you learned something about your vocal delivery that changed after the voice.
Yeah,
What-
yes. That was simply to keep your mouth and your jaw open more. And they
okay.
actually made us, for our duet that we did, they made us practice with corks in our mouths. We had to hold
No
cork. Well,
way.
I still own the cork. I still have it. You put a cork in between your teeth.
Okay.
And that teaches you to sing, and you have to sing like that to keep your jaw open.
Oh, wow.
And just a little thing, but it made a big difference. To this day, I still think about it, and I open my mouth a little more when I sing, a little bit more open-chested, a little bit more, open up your, push a little more from the diaphragm. Helps you keep in pitch, more control.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Huh. That's similar things to what Sandra Babel was talking about.
Yeah, she would, yeah.
Yeah, very, very much about being open and where the sound is actually coming from, and how to feel it in your body. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did learn. I mean, the coaching team was made up of this famous rock star named Stephanie Close and her manager. And they were really nice.
Oh, good.
Did a good job. But I knew, as I was in there with this young lady that I ended up singing with, they were concentrating totally on her.
Okay.
And I remember saying to Laura Lee that night when I got back to the hotel, they're gonna, choose her over me, which is exactly what I wanted.
Right.
And so when it happened, I was really, really happy. I remember came off stage and the reporters, everybody's with a microphone in your face all the time. Are you? And my German is so bad, Anyways, are you upset that And I said, are you kidding? I'm so happy to be off the show. And, and they edited that out. Not because I was being treated poorly or anything. Actually, I really enjoyed, how they portrayed me and everything on the show. It was good, but I just knew that I was done. I didn't want to.
Yeah. Well, they called you a mensch at the end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah.
They could have said so many terrible things.
It couldn't go bad.
Yeah. Oh wow. I pulled another piece of bread.
Is that from the other?
That is from the other. This is the one with the seeds all over it.
Okay, do you know the name of it?
Nope. Maybe, I think she called this one pumpkin bread because of the pumpkin seeds. And I think this one was just Bauer bread or something like farmer bread.
Bauernbrot.
Okay. Mein Vater war ein Bauer.
Bauern is a farmer.
Okay, let's butter it.
Let's give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
You go first.
Okay. Oh, yeah. It is so firm and dense.
Yeah. You don't eat like mounds and mounds of bread in Germany. You eat just a few slices and you're good to go.
Oh yeah, this would be fuel for the whole morning.
Butter and honey is very common.
Okay.
Or butter and jam or something. Or of course the cold cuts.
Well, we have one more
But of
awesome
course,
and frightening thing to try.
oh yeah. One thing though that really was strange when we first moved to Germany was their strange habit of putting sweet stuff on their bread, like Nutella, which in 1998 when we first moved there, I'd never heard of Nutella.
Oh, okay.
But they would always put sprinkles on it, chocolate sprinkles and stuff.
Yes, all my
Butter
German
and
friends
chocolate
do that.
sprinkles on bread. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how to do this, so I'm just going to cut the end off.
okay. That's probably how you do it.
It might be. She says it's
It's raw.
Oh yeah. Are you feared with trepidation?
Well,
I've got it going.
right.
Okay.
You go first.
Sure, I'll go first. I am brave. I'm gonna
Stand back.
cut this
Wendy's
open
got a
too.
sharp implement.
Yes, I was cutting things with this just this morning, and my other scissors wouldn't cut anything, and this cuts everything.
I recognize this too.
Okay, so this just comes apart like so. She said this one has a bit of a sweet edge to it because it has molasses involved. I guess that's what makes it so dark. Ooh. And it's a pumpernickel. Oh, smell that. I love that. It's very fragrant. Yes, it is. And it's stuck like stuckers. Ah.
This is live, they're not going to edit out your fumblings with the bread and
They
the knife.
never do. And by them, I mean her. Okay, here's half.
Oh, let's smell that.
Yeah.
Smell that.
Oh my gosh, I could smell it from down here.
Very, how would you describe that? An earthy smell maybe?
Yeah, I was thinking earthy. Yeah. It's amazing. Almost like, not quite fruitcakey, but like fig.
Right.
Ah, gorgeous. All right. I think we shouldn't mitigate the taste of this gorgeous raw food with butter, I think you should just put some on your bread and eat it. Me first?
Yeah, because I'm going really light on this.
Because you're chicken.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it has a kind of a texture. So the lady at Delichmans that sold it to me said her husband doesn't like it, but she loves it. And it's an acquired taste.
God bless
I
her
was
husband. Her
really
husband's Canadian, she
yeah,
said, right? Yeah.
I was really hoping you'd acquired this taste while you were there, so you could tell me why it's awesome.
No, I don't think I've ever had this.
I'm a little
Or
bit-
maybe it's been on the table, but I took a look at it and went, no.
Yeah, that looks raw.
I know that in some parts of Germany they've got like blood sausage and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's not
It's
so
not
bad.
terrible.
No,
I could
that's
eat this.
actually not bad.
Yeah, I was fearful, and now I'm okay. Yeah, this is not bad.
That's not bad.
Let's do this thing. Yeah, look, he's getting more. Because he was a chicken and now he's converted. Wow.
Right.
I had no hope that it was going to be this great.
It's like it's seasoned or something.
Yeah, it must be. Just gorgeously seasoned. Wow, this is lovely. Okay, so as a wrap up, I want to mention that you are writing novels now, and they're westerns, is that correct?
Right.
And you have a song that is about a character in the novel?
The main character.
The main character. So do you mind playing that just to wind us out?
I'd love to.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll say goodbye now, and thank you for joining us. Kelowna is a great place to find nice bread, and try this. It's kind of good.
It's kind of good.
Kind of good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
So the books, it's a series of 3 going on 4 books called The Chronicles of James Casper. And I found it very interesting as a songwriter to write these books, you know, and yes, some of the skill set does transfer. But I found myself, you know, what it would be like to write, because you really get into the mind of the character, right? Your husband would tell you this. What would it be like to write a song getting into the mind of this character and the history? So tell the story of the character in a song. So that's what I've done. So the song is called The Ballad of James Casper. I was born in the desert of northern Nevada, 10 years before the Civil War. You can't see my face underneath this bandana, but you'll soon guess what I'm wearing it for. My father was a general for the Union side. If I told you his name, you would know. My brother wore the blue on the day that he died, but I was too young to go. I was just a boy, you know. How can a man just ride on for years, just a shadow lost in these canyons, 1,000 miles from home, one step from disaster? This is the ballad of James Henry Casper. I spent 5 years wasting in a Colorado prison, so they finally told me I was free. But no one said if I was forgiven, there'd be ghosts still following me. there's no peace for a man like me. I was only 15 when I left my home, my father cold drunk on the floor, my mother 2 years buried out in that pasture. This is the ballad of James Henry Casper. And these outlaws I ride with, they're the only brothers that I know. Yeah, we've been through hell, but I know they would kill me for a single bag of gold. Now how can a man just ride on for years, just a shadow lost in these canyons? Don't you pull that pistol, boy, 'cause I will be faster. This is the ballad of James Henry Casper. They call me James Casper.
What's the name of the book when we Google it?
The first book is called Blackwater
Okay.
by Sullivan Stone.
And you are Sullivan
I'm
Stone.
Sullivan Stone, yeah.
Good to meet you, Sullivan. All right, bye-bye.